Hello. I got a question a while back, sort of a submission for a video for me to make. Basically, the question was, is carnivore enough or do we need more in order to thrive? So this word thrive is sort of a loaded word, and it means more than just getting by. It means more than just a healthy body. I think thriving definitely requires for someone to be healthy, mind, body, and spirit. And so someone could have a perfect diet. You know, they could just be totally on top of nutrition. All their labs look perfect. But if you don't have a good relationship with yourself, or if you don't have a healthy relationship with a higher power, with God, or if you're struggling in that arena, then obviously it will play into your overall health and ability to thrive. Like when I go to CrossFit, I really have to be in the right mindset. And there are days that, you know, say I just went through something difficult. Tyler and I got into a little tiff or had a hard conversation with someone, and then I walk into CrossFit and I really have to push through that mentally to get myself into the right mental space. And then it's always so beneficial because CrossFit really benefits me mentally. It is a form of therapy. But my point is that nutrition is not all, so carnivore is not all. And then I'll also go even further to say that carnivore is not the best thing for all people. It's just not. A lot of people do a lot better and find a lot more ease and sustainability when they include some low carb, low oxalate vegetables and herbs. And there are a lot of those. You could do bok choy, zucchini, fresh rosemary and thyme. You could do strawberries. You could do romaine lettuce. Like, there are quite a few options just to add some garnish. These aren't, you know, we're not filling up on these foods, but it adds garnish. It makes it more sustainable. Like, I was working with a client recently who felt like she needed to do strict carnivore, and then she came back and said, I can't do this. And I said, why don't you take your ground beef and make a taco bowl with it? You know, make your own taco seasoning. Don't buy the stuff at the store. Redmond Real Salt has an incredible taco seasoning. And put some Greek yogurt instead of sour cream on there. Get some extra protein. Do some cheese. You seem to be doing fine with cheese. Put some cilantro on there. Cilantro is low oxalate, low carb, and it's a chelator. So that's awesome. And that is a meal that just feels like, okay, this is not restrictive. Quite enjoyable, actually. A lot of people could add quarter of an avocado with that, and that would be delicious. That statement, you know, is carnivore enough to thrive? It is for a lot of people, because carnivore does help people to address mood disorders. I know that a carnivore approach helps a lot of people get off of medication, heal from the ground up, from the bottom up, from the inside out. And that entails a lot of things, including your mood. But at the end of the day, you still decide what your attitude is going to be, or what your mindset is, what your perspective on life is. Like I just said, carnivore is not necessarily the best thing for a lot of people. You know, I did strict carnivore for a year, and I struggled until I found Billy Doe meats, because they have unaged meat, which was a total game changer for me. For anyone with histamine intolerance, please check out Billy Doe meats. Not only because it's unaged and it's holistically raised, and the company is incredible. These people are my family. They're awesome. But also because they have variety. They have lamb, goat, veal, beef, and it's all unaged. And so I went from eating, you know, trying to eat a bunch of ground beef every day, which was giving me horrible reactions, and I just was worse and worse. I tried that 8 times. To finally discovering Billy Doe meats, which was unaged, wasn't having reactions anymore, but they also have things like veal ribs, lamb bacon, goat ribs, goat sirloin, lamb chops with a fat cap like this thick. So then you don't have to be so particular about adding fat to get your higher fat ratio, which a lot of people benefit from when they're healing. It was just such a blessing for me, and I felt not restricted because it was so delicious. It scratched every itch, and I wasn't missing anything else. Now, when I started to reintroduce foods, I started with egg yolks and butter and romaine lettuce and coconut, just kept it minimal. And so now I am at the point in my life where I'm eating a lot more variety, and I do really, really well. And I'm so grateful for this season that I'm in. You know, I don't know if I'll be here forever doing this. There are many days still where all I want is meat. I crave nothing else. All I want is some meat. I'm gonna reach for Billy Doe meats and just fill up on that, and it's great. But there are other days that it's like, I'm gonna have some of my homemade sourdough bread. I'm gonna have some fresh watermelon and share it with Moose here. Right, Moose? Do you like watermelon? Yes. Do you like watermelon, Moosey? Yeah. And it's really awesome to see that my blood sugars don't spike. My gut is not struggling at all. Even my digestion is very normal when I eat other things. Yesterday I had a sweet potato, made some fries out of it. And it's just really cool to be able to be in this place after being very restrictive for a long time. But my point is that variety has become a more normal part of what I eat now. And through this journey, I've learned how to help people with where they're at. I take my job very seriously, and a very serious part of my job is helping someone with where they're at to make this way of eating sustainable. So making suggestions like the taco bowl, or I even have a carnivore ravioli. I have shrimp scampi, garlic risotto. My whole cookbook, which is still being worked on, is full of recipes that are not strict carnivore. It's not just meat, salt, and water, but guess what? All the recipes are created with super mindfulness for people who are still healing but need more variety. And that is the goal of my cookbook and what I do in my coaching. So strict carnivore is not the best for all people. It is a great place to start if you can. And then so the last thing I'll talk about is behavioral health. So I went to the Health Coach Institute to get my certifications in 2020. I got my health coaching certification and life coaching certification. And I did them together because I believe that those two go together in real life. They are intertwined. And so it's really important to dial into your behavioral health. If you are a perfect carnivore and you're eating, perfect, even my recommendations for your macros, the right foods, you're eating Billy Doe meats, but you're not prioritizing your sleep and you're staring at your phone in bed, you could still hold yourself back. You could still be stuck at a plateau. If you are sedentary all day long, you could still run into major issues. If you're not hydrating properly, if, the way that you talk about yourself, these are all behavioral and lifestyle changes that are crucial for someone to be able to thrive. If you're not socializing, I know a lot of people, especially when you're healing, socializing takes everything out of you, right? It took me 2 years to even go to my young adults group in the evening because it starts at 7, and then I was on the worship team, so I didn't get home until like 10:30. And for me, that was like, this is probably too much for my central nervous system. But praise God, he really pulled on my heart when it was time for me to step out, be a little bit more flexible with my schedule and my routine. But my point is that I waited years. So for those of you who are really in that season where socializing takes too much out of you, and you want to give, but you don't feel like you can because you don't have the capacity, you could just do little things like compliment someone, send someone a really sweet message. If you don't even have the energy to engage in a conversation over the phone, send someone a handwritten letter of encouragement, or just say, hey, like, how have you been? I miss you. You can always do something. You really, really can. And so I just want to encourage you that social aspect is very important for someone to thrive. Human beings are made to be together. We are not made to be in isolation. I think isolation is one of the biggest tools that the devil uses for destruction of a human being, because in isolation we drown in our own thoughts, we lose perspective of the world around us, and it can just heed way to a lot of bad things. The last thing I'll say is that sometimes you can't just keep carnivoring harder. In cases like SIRS, or sometimes Lyme disease, or sometimes H. pylori, in my experience, there are some people who only need to address nutrition, and then there are some people who also need an additional protocol. So for me personally, I use 3 different herbs, supplements, no more than that. A lot of people have these whole protocols. The Shoemaker protocol is very in-depth. I see that it works. I know that it works, but I'm just saying that I've worked with people who didn't need it. I'm a person who had SIRS and didn't need it, but there are people who I know and love and care about who absolutely needed the Shoemaker protocol to move the needle. So sometimes carnivore is not enough, and carnivore and proper behavioral health is not enough. Sometimes you have to come in there with a protocol. That was the last thing I wanted to share. So if you are lost and you don't know what is needed to move the needle, consider hiring a coach. Not just me, we have tons of carnivore coaches. I don't offer single-hour consultations for most people unless it's someone who is already experienced in carnivore, understands the mechanisms that I'm speaking to. Then I'll consider doing a 1-hour consultation. But for someone who's brand new, 1 hour isn't going to serve you. So my minimum is 90 days, but there are a lot of people who offer 1 hour. You know, you've got to get a perspective. And I don't have anything against functional medicine doctors, but I would encourage you to seek beyond your functional medicine doctor, because your functional medicine doctor is not the same as a traditional doctor, but has similarities in such that they recommend supplements. Your traditional doctor went to school to learn how to prescribe medication. Well, your functional medicine doctor learned how to recommend supplements. And so they don't always really get to the root of the problem. They take you through tons of supplements that are very expensive, maybe treatments that make this much of a change, and they're not really seeing that you were created to thrive. That's the truth. Like, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Your body wants to thrive, and we just have to learn how to support it at a systemic level. So that can be life-changing. So I would encourage anyone watching this to consider looking outside and beyond your functional medicine doctor. So yeah, I hope this has been helpful. Hi you guys, so my fall retreat is more than halfway booked. I know that you guys may have already heard of it. We're going to have a dream team of special guests. We have Ken Berry, Maria Emmerich, Kelly Hogan, Neisha Berry, and Lisa Wiedemann. So we're all going to be together. This is going to be invaluable fellowship, breakthroughs, learning, eating the highest quality, best, most delicious meats like Billy Doe meats, North Star bison. I'm going to be making my carnivore treats, carnivore brownies, carnivore carrot cake, carnivore ice cream. And then of course we'll have Maria with us, so she's going to do some cooking with us. It's going to be so awesome. For those of you who don't do sweeteners, we will be with Emily Harveau and Kelly Hogan as well. They don't do sweeteners. Lisa doesn't do sweeteners. So we're going to have options for everyone. It's just going to be absolutely incredible. So we're in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, October 11th through 16th. This is when the fall colors are peaking. The weather is phenomenal. If you're interested, please email me directly at rebecca@tailoredketo.health. I'll send you the information. I'll send you an invoice when you're ready to pay. The only way to reserve your spot is with payment, and then you'll be locked in. I hope to see you there.